All right, next up we've got Fianna Wong. Hello, Fianna.
Hello.
Fianna's on the marketing team at SideFX. Tell us what you do there. Tell the people what you do at SideFX.
Oh, God. I keep my chair warm. Yes. My stuff mostly deals with working with interns. I'm like the intern herder for marketing, and mostly with interns and external artists, we are working on projects to showcase Houdini, highlighted in various ways, whether it is depending on the year or time of the year. We are working on ways to showcase new upcoming features, but also other marketing materials that are related to like trade shows like GDC or SIGGRAPH or any other events that happen throughout the year. We are working closely with R&D, so now they moved us right into R&D. So we talk with developers, and yeah, we are very closely working with them throughout the process of development. So like from the start of new tools to the very end, and then we are putting that all together into like release materials, so like sneak peeks and stuff that you see on magazines, at the launch events, like stuff online afterwards on SideFX.com.
One of the neat things that I find on the part of the intern is that they get to work directly with the people, the R&D guys that are building the tools, creating those demo projects, giving the R&D team feedback as an iterative loop. And so as a young person coming up using Houdini and a fan of Houdini, they get to work directly with those R&D guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Like obviously, like every Houdini user would love the opportunity to work on unreleased tools. It's cool at the same time, but it also can be like a pain in the ass because it's like part of the development process. So yeah, like it's fun with some pain, but like mostly cool at the end.
Right on. Well, let's jump into your presentation.
Okay, goodbye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. My name is Fianna, and I work at SideFX, and I have a couple of things to share with you guys today. But before I get started, I just want to take this moment to thank our friends at AMD for providing us with hardware. We are always excited and super appreciative of being able to use the latest technology, and we are using such hardware to create visual material for public viewing at conference events, product launches, and so on. So I just want to say huge thanks, guys, for supporting us. Now, let's get started with the presentation. So for the update, I just want to point out a tip, but not Matt Estella's tips. In case you didn't know, SideFX is putting out daily builds, but if you want to know information regarding the daily build, if you go to support and you click on changelog journal, then you can get access to and any information related to the specific build number that you may be downloading. Obviously, the most recent one will have all the commits prior to, but you can see at an overview at a glance what those commits pertain to. So here's some geometry, here's some Karma, Lobs, Houdini Engine, licensing, Houdini Engine for Unity, Houdini Engine for Unreal, Python, and so on. And you can see what those commits are about, what dates they were submitted on, today, over the weekend, because some of us don't sleep here. And if you go to get and download, you can see on the top is the production build, which is like the safe version, but it won't have the fixes that are in the daily builds. So if you click on that, then you'll get to see 18.0.475 that correlates to this commit that was made today. So, this is a useful way this is a helpful way to find information relating to the build, and not everyone is using the most current version. So you can find information related to whatever build you are using. So I just wanted to point this out in case some of you weren't aware of this. So now we're going to move on to the sneaky peeky part, which is actually a live demo. I know this is pre-recorded, but we're going to do this live, so to speak, to simulate the excitement of an actual event. So here we go. Let's drive. So this is actually the setup to the animation, the short clip that was playing earlier at the start. This is basically just some geometry moving along curves, some keyframed positions of the geometry, and then like a shader slapped on and some glow added after. So it's actually just one curve with one geometry piece, and then copied along and offset to play at different times. So you can get a lot of effects, like different looks, by just changing stuff like curve direction. So here it's just reversed, and then I changed the bounding box to kind of alter the shape of the initial curve so that it's a little bit bigger and it's playing backwards. If we look at another example, so you can vary the width of the thickness of your geometry to get another look. And if you do enough of these variations, you find some interesting camera angles, you basically got yourself a home rave. Throw on some tunes. And you can also do neon signs, because fonts are also curves, and you can find images online, throw a trace op, as I did here for this guy, a little bit resampling, toss some geometry on it, and then keyframe some position of the geometry, and here you can have yourself some neon signs. So pretty like cheap effects, and you can do many different looks. So we're going to actually take a look at how to do these in Houdini. So this is a setup. If we have time to look at it later, we will, but I'm just going to start from blank because that's the most exciting. So what are we going to start off with? So first, obviously, if we need some geometry and a curve, we're going to need to make both of those things. So let's put down a curve sop, and I'm going to hit tab and put down a tube, and I'm going to change that to polygon and just make the scale a bit smaller. And so here we have our tube and our curve, which obviously we need to make. So let's just make something quick here. I'm going to change this display flag to the curve and switch this to NURBS. And then I'm just going to draw any old random shape. So here we have a curve. And then the next thing, naturally you would think, well, I'm going to do like a poly extrude. So if I can type. So there's our poly extrude, which, by the way, if you're wondering why this node has a display flag and is having the normal shading, and these guys are kind of automatically shaded darker, I have this option enabled in View, Dim Unused Nodes. So this is kind of my lazy man option to not have to color all the nodes that I don't use. Because if you're like me and you have a habit of just having a bunch of nodes and you're trying stuff out, but you're not fully committed to deleting them because you're just not sure you might go back to it, but then you select them all every time, and then you hit C to grab some color and shade them and move them to the side. So this is like an automatic version, an automatic way to just deal with looking at what nodes are currently active right now. So yeah. All right. So just excuse the dogs barking in the background. Anyway. So yeah, let's actually make the end caps, and we're going to extrude our curve. So we got to set the spine shape to curve from second input, and we got to give it some distance, and actually pick the face that we want to extrude. and give it some divisions because we need some divisions to deform it along the curve. So that's kind of the shape that we have. If we increase the distance, it's getting closer to match it. But there's like, you know, we got to make some adjustments to this face here that's like kind of clipped. But what if we want to make a bunch of curves? Then what? Let's type something nice here, and we'll change a font to not be so bland, and plug this guy in. So that looks pretty bueno, I know. But like, what are we gonna do with this? We can change the scale radius and maybe go back to your poly extrude and change the distance to kind of bring it closer to the shape of the letter. It's pretty far. I mean, like, look at that. Like how it's like doable, but you know, it's time consuming. So how do I adjust these? I have these options here to try to like match it more, but it's just not good. Like, what if this is just one word? What if we need to do like a Star Wars scrolling text with like paragraphs? I mean, you want to just put a pencil in between your ears. So what other options do we have? We can't use it for this, clearly. So we have something else. We have sweep. So let's plug that in. And let's change the surface shape to round tube, and that is much better. Let's just adjust our radius, and I'm just going to change the font to not add holes. And, you know, we pretty much got ourselves a neon sign here, but how do we animate the geometry along the curve? If we take a look at the options here on the sweep SOP, we have basically controls for setting our geometry output. So, you know, this will affect the resolution and, you know, the overall build of the surface, but not having anything to do with growth. End caps, same. The scale, if we enable that, this is the profile that I was talking about earlier that you can, you know, adjust to give your fonts or effect a different look, but this doesn't have anything to do with animating along the curve. Sure, you can just kind of like moosh it in and out, but that's not really doing the thing either. And you can time these to do that, to simulate, but it's just like, you know, it's not ideal. So rotation also not going to do anything with that. And you can get some cool looks, but that's not really it either. In fact, that's not it at all. And then constructions, nothing here, and UVs, nada, right? So what else do we have? Well, we do have something potentially new. And here I have to put that usual disclaimer of yada, yada, yada. Whatever you see here is not, you know, gonna be in a future version of Houdini. May or may not look the same then and there. If it does, maybe, and so on, you know, the usual spiel. So now that I've more or less said that, let's take a look at something called a path deform, which the SideFX kitchen has been cooking up. So let's put that down, and okay, we have some options here, but let's just hover over to see what we need. We need some geometry. We have, and then we also need a spine curve, which we also have. So let's just grab those components here, and we will just plug this guy in and this guy here, and then we'll just move these three over to the side and take a look at this. So yes, we are good to go. Don't worry, it's not as it seems. There is a capture and align tab here, so we can just, I'm not even like really intelligently picking anything. I'm just choosing it until it looks right, and this obviously looks correct. But we got to make some adjustments here because not enough minerals. Let's give it some more resolution. So this might be a little overkill, but we can adjust that later. So we can even actually just leave this as is. Well, maybe not. Okay, that's still too fat. Something like this. Okay, and then now we can actually make these adjustments in here. There's options in the map and deform. If we enable the scale option, we can just adjust it here and then just keep everything on kind of like one area, so to speak. So here you can notice that we have these rails, and if you're like me and you were using the dark background, you may not actually notice that there's something there. So sometimes just maybe change your background or use the other, that kind of hideous colored one. But you can see that there are these handles here and then this guide. And you can see that if you don't see these things here, you can select your path to form and then hit the enter key, and you will get these options. So I'm going to also enable the scale ramp, and let's just start looking at some of these. So I can actually turn this off and we can move this over. So we have the options for all our letters, and if we just grab a handle, we can move it along the rail, so to speak, and do the same for the other handle. And you're basically just finding the place where you want to have your geometry move along. You can also adjust the way that you can control how to map your geometry, how to push your geometry onto the curve. So here, the distance, you can set that like limited to the actual overall distance of the rail or the curve. And there's a preserve volume, by the way. So if you kind of push it back, it grows, because obviously it's trying to keep the amount. So if you stretch it out, it will over time get skinny, and you can get some fun effects like a ballooning shape. Not that one. And then if you want to move the start point of where your, in this case, your letter is coming from, then you can just move those handles along to find the position that you want to have it start from. There's some like clipping there, so I'm just gonna reduce that and turn off the preserve volume. That's too skinny. Something like this. And there's also the start and end behavior. So if we enable clamp on the start, it will kind of from where you move. That's not it. There's the point where it should clip actually, and then it doesn't go further. So we're gonna find, oh, there's the starting point of our curve. So it clips, but if you want it to extend, but you don't want it to actually follow, be pushed along that rail, you can go to the capture and align and adjust the start, and then there's also corresponding the end one. So you can do the same for the end as well. So if you are animating this, then you can get some neat effect with these kind of like bones or bars that stick out. And if we go back to the map and deform on the scale ramp, since 18, we have these presets of the ramp shapes that you can start off with. Steps, maybe this maybe a little bit higher. So you can get these kind of like blocky growth to your geometry, and obviously you can make your own adjustments after, and then you can use these options to reverse or get the inverse of this ramp value. So we can like flip that, and then we can get the like complement the negative of that. So you can kind of get a lot of like neat looking results just by playing with these settings here. I think I actually have the orientation wrong, but this still looks fine. Is it this axis? Curve normal? No. Well, anyway, I should probably cut this out. This is anyway the giving us the result that we want. So I'm not going to pretend to fully understand this, but the thing seems to be working, and we'll just continue. So that is the path deform. What else do we have? There is one more thing I want to show you guys today, because not a whole lot of time, but maybe you're all tired of topo build examples and what to do with high resolution geometries. But here I have this scan, and then I'm going to actually bring in a second scan file just to show you guys what is an alternative way to rebuild to get some clean geometry. Yes. How to get some clean geometry from high resolution data. So like a scan or a ZBrush sculpt, like any, this is not necessarily just like ZBrush, like 3D Code or Blender. So normally you have the option of Topo Build to, project and build your geometry onto the scan surface and create the specific topology flow that you want for your geometry. But this may not be an option, or if you're super pressed for time, then we have something else that you can consider, which is called Topo Transfer. And we have something that is included, the template head that you can use. If we take a look at that, this is manifold geometry of a head with a mouth bag, and everything is quad. So you can basically take this geometry and project it onto scan data or like a high resolution mesh. So let's just plug these guys in and let's have a look. So this doesn't actually show us anything. So we'll just jump back here, and if we hit the enter key as usual to activate our node, there's some information down here telling us what we need to do. So if we hit Control G, we can switch between our basically here it says our source geometry and our target geometry. So here is our source geometry, and we're gonna make some landmarks, which is basically our way to tell Houdini, hey, look here, use this point to project and really pay attention to. So let's do one for the nose, and I'm also going to do a second set and then just change the color. This will be mouth, eyes. So let's start with the nose. So here, let's pick, my point is really small, by the way. If you need to adjust your point size, should be geometry, guides. So I've set it to 1 because if I go, actually if I switch just Control G, whoops. Okay, doesn't seem to, it's giving me something else. I think because my display window is on. So, or if I just stop pressing Alt G instead of Control G. Okay, let's find. There we go. It's kind of hard to see the keyboard through this microphone mesh thing. So if I turn on the points, if I have this set to, I think regular is like 2 or maybe 3, it's kind of hard to choose. So let's set that to 1. You can always adjust this after. Let's go back to our Topo Transfer and let's pick our nose. So let's grab our point here, enter, and I'm going to go to the targets point group somewhere here, hit enter, and now I'm going to pick my eyes, and I don't have to be super exact because, well, like I can always just assess the result and then reselect after to get something closer to if I'm not happy with my result. So let's do somewhere here like so, and then somewhere here, and enter. So now we're gonna let Houdini cook. I may cut this out. Oh, actually I don't need to. So here is the projected source geometry. And yeah, I have a cauliflower head, but we can actually just isolate the geometry that we want to project onto, or that we want to grab, basically. I don't actually care about the sides of the head, like aside from the main face features. I just want to capture those. And because, you know, you might not get stuff super optimized, so like I didn't wear a pantyhose on my head, so this is what happens. So we'll just go back and in the rigid primitives, we're gonna isolate the areas that we want to work from. So yeah, something like that. I'm just gonna go to the side, and then I'm just gonna lasso grab these faces here, boop, and yeah, that, if we want to be super safe, so we can just grab this just in case. And of course you can always just like go back, and if that's too much, then you just go back and remove the selection of that, or add it back some more, and just do that until you find the happy place. So now I just look like I've been like hit on the side of the head instead of having cauliflower head, which is, you know, better. But yeah, this is like pretty fast and like pretty minimal work. Let's try it on the second scan. So I'm just gonna duplicate this guy because I want to reuse the same isolated faces that I got earlier, but I will just flush these guys. So I'm going to delete these because I will re-pick those points. So here I'm just gonna plug that in, and I think I've like lost my homing buttons. So here we go. And let's click back on this guy. I'm either hitting the wrong key. Let me just zoom in all the way, and I'm trying to find my head. So, all right, oh, there it is. So, my bad. Now I'm just going to do the same process. So enter, and let's pick the other landmark somewhere here, and over here I'm gonna pick my eyes. I only do eyes. And mouth, and again. And here, here, and let's have it cook. All right, cool. So now let's just put them all together. So let's get a transform, because obviously they're gonna all occupy the same place. Merge. And let's just grab all of these guys. Oh, just in case. Let's do that here. I'm just gonna lock these so they don't cook by any chance. Even though it was like super quick. All right, so yes, right? Let's move these guys over. This one. So now let's just go full screen. And here we can see our Topo transferred heads. So that was pretty easy to do if you need something in a flash. So that is the path deform and Topo transfer today. And that's all we have time for. I will just quickly add a final note to say, pay attention to sometime around June. We're going to be making an announcement. So on SideFX.com or social media, look out for some announcement coming that time. Thank you all for sitting in on the presentation today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Bye.